Hi, BiFFs.
Hey, Beth.
Dear Abby.
Dear Kiki.
Captain.
Red flag.
Cheers to you.
Desperate housewife.
Pinot Grigio.
Doesn't want to marry
Loser
you.
power.
Love you like I
More
love you.
wine.
Don't talk to yourself.
Cheers, BiFFs.
Cheers.
Ill-advised.
Ill-advised. This is ill-advised.
Hi, BiFFs.
Hello.
Hello and welcome.
Welcome to Ill-Advised.
The podcast where two best friends tell you what to do when someone else already has.
After some pickleback shots.
Preceding the French wine on the docks. I wanted to rhyme.
On the docks?
Yeah.
Pickleback shots on the docks.
I mean, a rapper would make it work. Why not me?
You did make it work.
Oh,
Pickleback shots on the docks.
I'm quitting my job now. I'm not.
Although that's more like a country song. Less rap, more country.
The content is more country.
Having some picklebacks shots. I forgot the part that rhymed. Out on my twin docks.
What's twin docks?
Just two docks.
Side by side.
Yeah. You know,
Are they
one,
like touching?
one for boat, one for the hose. Boats and hose. God damn it, Beth.
Welcome to Ill-Advised.
How's things?
I was like, where do we go next?
I know.
Thank you. Things are okay. Things are good. As you know, my boyfriend is away for work for 2 weeks, and then he comes back with COVID.
When mother's away.
I know. This motherfucker comes back with COVID, so like we're not allowed to
Coulda came
like
back
touch.
with worse.
That's right. And we're trying to figure out if it's syphilis or sniffilus.
Oh.
That's right. That's all I got. But I'm good.
All right.
I'm good otherwise.
That's good.
Yeah, that's it. Other than the feeling of a pickleback shot.
Don't drink on an empty stomach.
Do I look like a deer in headlights
You've
right now?
been
Because I feel like...
A little bit with your ring light.
Biff, how you doing? Leave me alone.
Good. I had, actually I kind of jinxed myself, but I had a really rough last term for school. So now last Sunday was the last day of that term. And so I was like, oh my God, like a big weight of relief and like now I can get back to my normal schedule. And then it just was like, just kidding.
Oh, you don't need a normal schedule.
Like, fuck your life.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't that how it always works though?
Yeah. I know. I don't know why I actually anticipated like having a normal week.
Like just a little bit of reprieve.
Yes. Yeah, no, didn't work out. But I still don't have that weight of last time. It was... Bleh. I'm not going to talk shit about my professor, but exactly. That's what I wanted to say to her every week. Other than that, I'm doing good.
Did I tell you that, Colin's in school for his second master's because he got bored over COVID. And so,
Motherfucker.
So he's been like...
Go sit down somewhere, Colin.
Right, like fuck off.
Go fix a coffee pot.
Yeah, it's fixed. Did I tell you it's fixed? It's wonderful.
Actually, I think I saw him posted on Facebook.
He did. He's very proud of it. But he has a professor that he had last semester that he's just like less than excited about. But this professor was very like confusing. Actually was cooking while she was doing like this lecture like on a Zoom thing.
Oh my gosh.
And I could hear some of it, and he'd be like bitching the whole time she was talking or something. I don't really remember what it was.
Cooking while she's giving
yeah, like he's sitting in the kitchen, like, and I'm cooking while she's giving it, and whatever. So he hated her so much that like just hearing her name was triggering. I'm not going to say her name, but then we went and played Jackbox. I don't know if you've ever played that, but like you get to pick your name while you play the game.
Yeah,
and I put her name in there.
For your name.
Yeah. And he was like, "You fucking bastard."
That's actually really funny.
Wyatt thought it was hilarious too.
Hilarious.
So Wyatt picked up on it right away. So, oh my God.
Oh,
so yeah.
Good.
So if you'd like to play a game with us one day, I'll just let me know the name of this professor.
I don't think I remember, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Sure. Speaking of things that make you want to drink wine,
Yes, please.
we have. I can't. If you're following us on social media and you're on TikTok, then you'll see that you'll understand that I could not pronounce this, and I started calling this wine Puerto Rican. Yep. That was not planned. I repeat, that was not planned.
That's why I had to force you to post that.
That's right. I didn't want to. This is a Bordeaux from France. It is Château Recougne, not Château Recougne. It's 2018 Appellation Bordeaux Supérieur Contrôlé.
There's the Puerto Rican.
And I can't. Oh, I can. It is in English. Okay, are you ready? This is going to suck. This is actually, it tells you what it is. It's a blend of Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Cab Sauv. 78% Merlot, 12% Cab, 10% Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, and Cab Sauv. Château Recougne.
There it is.
Chateau. I can't even say Chateau anymore. Chateau Recougne is a 90 hectares estate situated on the border of Fronsac.
Who's sack?
Franz. Fronssac. Just west of Le Born. I have no idea. The barn. Shut up. It has been in Xavier Malhadi's family now for 4 generations. The vineyards are planted on iron-rich clay soils, producing firm, long-lived wines. The grapes are vinified? Vinified?
A grapevine? I don't know. Vinified?
The grapes are vinified before bottling. Oh, nope, that's wrong. The grapes are vinified traditionally and matured in small tanks for 2 years before bottling.
That's okay. Nobody cares about these parts anyway.
They really don't. We're still reading it. One of the most renowned properties of the appellation, Recougne, is elemental, essential Bordeaux superior with a complexity and depth of flavor that confirms its privileged terroir.
Yeah.
Delicious young, this wine is deceptively age-worthy, and good vintages from the 1950s and 60s are still vibrant and full of life. Château Recougne, Grand Vin de Bordeaux. Did it work?
Yes.
Cheers.
That was the best part. I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Meh. I mean, it's good.
This is like a pour glass after my daughter goes to bed and do homework.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I like it.
It doesn't give me that like...
Yeah, to me, it's missing something.
I really like it.
I love the way it smells. It's got a great nose.
I love a good nose.
That's right.
It's funny because I don't think it smells great.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It is very dry.
It smells like a gauze pad. But it tastes fantastic.
With or without antiseptic?
With.
Well, I guess we've established where we are with the wine. What would you rate it?
Honestly, I love it. I would go look for this.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a 4 or a 5?
Probably a 4.
Yeah? I'd give it a 3. Like if it was there, I would grab it if I didn't have any other choice.
I definitely would keep this on my counter.
Well, I think this one was $13.99.
Even better. I'll definitely keep it on my counter.
Down the road, actually, in the center of town.
Oh, perfect.
Yep, so you can go grab that.
So I don't have to drive an hour to get
You do not have to drive.
That yummy wine
That's
that
right.
you still haven't even brought me.
Oh my God. I know. If we had planned, if the weekend had gone how we thought it would
We just need to move to New Zealand. Marlborough, New Zealand.
Marlborough, New Zealand. Right. Fuck Marlborough, Massachusetts. Let's just go to Marlborough, New Zealand.
You go straight to the bucket itself.
Hi, is there wine in that cask? No.
Was that made here?
Was that made
Yes, please.
here, or did you bring that over for France? Every time I say France, I think about, I don't know if you've seen it. There's these reels of this, I believe they identify as male. I don't know, this guy that's dressed as like the Miss Universe pageant contestants.
Oh God.
And they like say their names like Albania, and he's dressed like them. It flashes to him. He goes, Albania, and does some like sort of funny thing.
Yeah.
And then he gets to France, and the girl from France, I'm gonna fucking cry laughing so hard right now. She screams France in the French accent. She says France, but she like the way she says it, it's like she's screaming at the top of her lungs. So then he goes to repeat it, and he stops. He stops in his tracks and he starts laughing. And he goes, France!
You screamed it.
Every single time I come across it, I have to watch it. I think I've watched it about 100 times at this point.
I love those
because
videos.
even like Denmark, like he gets to Denmark and the woman says it like very lackluster. She's like, Denmark! And he stops and stares at the camera. Denmark! So, like, if you have a chance to search for it, I cry every time I watch it.
Yeah.
France!
I definitely want to see that one.
So I think we've wasted enough time of the listeners, or wasted enough of the listeners' time with.
Well,
all
they
this
needed
bullshit.
time to go pee and get up and go check the oven. And
Yeah, like, set it to spin. They're doing great. You have questions this week?
I do.
Hit me. Where are we going?
Questions. We're going to an oldie but a goodie.
Hit me.
One of our faves.
Favorite?
Slate. How to do it.
Ooh, I love porn when it's written.
TMI, Biff.
Your
mother's listening.
No, she's not.
My
Your
father
father's
is.
listening. He already thinks we're raunchy. Why not add to the
Literally
list?
said raunchy. You guys are raunchy.
You're welcome,
I was
Pops.
like, Dad, we don't pick. Well, we pick them. We don't write these questions.
Hold on. In our defense, we don't read the questions before we pick them. We pick them based on the title alone.
Right. But we pick the
Fun ones. We don't go for raunchy per se. We go for entertainment value.
right. But our personalities are shaped like a raunch.
Yes. We can't stop laughing. Okay, listeners. So we had to take a little break because we couldn't stop laughing, and because Stephanie's cords were rubbing up against her notebook
Sounded
while
kinda-
she was laughing. All right, Biff, hit us. Where are we going first?
This is from November 12th, 2022. I thought my husband was having an affair, so I hired a detective. I had a bizarre reaction to the truth.
A bizarre reaction to the truth?
Yeah,
Is the truth bizarre or just the reaction?
the reaction.
The fact that you needed to like get a PI involved
That's fucking awesome.
is
This
fucking
is why we
great.
pick this question.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Dear How to Do It. About 6 months ago, I became suspicious that my husband of 9 years was having an affair. He didn't say or do anything in particular to arouse my suspicions, but I just had a feeling. I tried to ignore it because I don't really believe in gut feelings or intuition, but it kept... I'll continue. But it kept nagging at me, so I did some low-level digging into our cell phone bills and shared tablets and computers and checked to see if he'd changed his passwords to his personal devices or accounts. Nothing really jumped out at me. Unable to shake the feeling, I finally hired a private detective and followed him for 3 weeks. After 1 week, he had evidence of infidelity.
What?
When I got the photos, I was prepared to be disgusted, distraught, and outraged, feeling angry and betrayed. Instead, I felt intrigued. During the 3 weeks the PI followed him, my husband took a business trip out of town and took his mistress with him, so the PI was able to get pictures of them around town doing normal couple things. Looking at the picture was like looking at someone I didn't know. My husband looked so different. There were pictures of a romantic dinner, them dancing to jazz music, and strolling in a grocery store. I asked the PI to continue to follow them to get more information. My PI wouldn't record audio or video, but I found one that would. In the past 6 months, I have spent thousands of dollars watching my husband and his mistress. I just find their relationship so intriguing. I even created fake social media accounts and started following his mistress just to see what they're up to. She never posts pictures of him, but she has posted pictures of locals I know she is at with him. I am torn on whether I should divorce him or even if I want to tell him that I know about his affair. I'm married. Life is really comfortable for me. He is thoughtful and attentive. He is not as affectionate, tender, and romantic with me as he is with her, but I am not a woman who is really into romance or too many outward displays of affection. He still takes me on dates, buys me thoughtful gifts for no reason at all, and puts time and attention into our marriage. Oddly, part of me is really just interested in if the husband he is to me and the lover he is to her are both part of him, or is he putting on an act for one of us? We don't have kids and don't plan to. In some of her social media posts, she has alluded to being happily child-free, so I don't think she wants kids either. Can things just continue as they are? Should I feel bad on spying on them? Signed, my husband's affair is my reality TV. This is great. This is so freaking great.
I just don't have the words to... I just don't have the words.
This is so good.
I don't know what to do with this information or how to even respond.
Right.
You don't believe in intuition, but you relied on it and you used it. You had no reason to follow this hunch, but you did. And normal people...
And found out you were right.
Right. And that's what I mean. That's where I'm going next is like, I feel like people in that situation who like don't, especially if they don't believe in intuition and they're like, it's not a thing.
That's a wild concept for me.
Right. I saw your face.
My whole life.
We made eye contact.
I'm this far in my life. I'm still alive at this age
because of your intuition. Right. And I'm just, if you didn't believe in your intuition.
You do now.
No, but I mean like, if you didn't believe in your intuition and you got evidence to substantiate your intuition, I feel like you would go down a spiral. You know what I mean? You'd be like, not only were you right, but it's actually happening.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think on my end of things, if I didn't like,
have any sort of outside.
Like, let me paint this picture. Like I go and buy a lottery ticket because right now they're ridiculously like, there's a big jackpot, whatever it is, this is just an example. And I know I'm not going to win, but I buy a ticket anyway. Right. Mm-hmm. And then my numbers come out. I fucking won. Fucking won. I'm going to freak the fuck out. I feel like this person just like got their lottery. Their numbers came up and they're just like, fascinating.
Super interesting. What else can I do with this?
I know that like it's, on the other side of this like spectrum or it's like,
so that wouldn't give you like a I fucking knew it feeling?
I don't know. I'm not talking necessarily about me. I just like mean in this example, like you don't trust your intuition and then you're right and you're just like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, but it wasn't just like, oh, interesting. Like this is like actively taking over her life.
But she's fascinated by the relationship.
She spent thousands of dollars just to watch her husband have an affair.
Right. It's like TV for her. Did she cut the cord too? Like, does she have cable?
I don't think this is like interesting.
I don't know if it's a trauma thing either.
I'm still stuck on I don't believe in gut instincts and intuition. Like how? How?
Question could
what do you do in your life then?
Episode.
What do you do in your life? You don't ever get these senses or these feelings? Or like if it's like, man, I got 2 really good job opportunities. I don't really know.
Imagine not following like the feeling in the pit of your stomach.
Or not having one.
Or conscience.
Like,
or your conscience in general.
If
like
you
that's
don't
part of a
believe in gut
feeling.
intuitions in these things, then what do you feel?
Do you feel?
Right. Do you feel?
Do you feel?
Because everybody has them. I just can't get past that question.
Yeah, I can't either.
I need the specific question that is being asked.
So she feels...
Can things just continue as they are? Should I feel bad for spying on them?
Don't feel bad for... Well, You didn't have a reason
No, don't
to
feel
go-
bad for spying on them.
Here's the
for
deal.
fuck's sake.
Don't feel bad for spying on them, but like also know that you went in there without any. Well, this is where intuition comes back into play. Did you go in there with any unfound reason? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you thought it was just a feeling, and I don't believe in my feelings, but I decided to ride this one out. Like you didn't have any concrete evidence, so like expect him to get upset about it, but like apparently it can still go on.
Yeah, I tried to ignore it because I don't really believe in gut feelings or intuitions, but it just kept nagging at me, as our intuitions do.
Right. And so I'm thinking, yeah, I think it can still
Nothing
go
really
on.
jumped out at me, but I was still unable to shake the feeling.
I feel like this is like this person coming to the possibility of having an open marriage.
I think she's having more fun watching. She's like getting more fulfillment.
I'm wondering if
from
she's
her
got like
husband's
her pants
affair.
off while she's watching all of this.
That does not seem far-fetched.
Okay, so that's legit, like
That does not seem far-fetched.
like thinking about them
She's,
having
like,
sex or something.
Excited about her husband's affair.
Yeah, and which this is great, but you know, to keep the health in your relationship, does she say something to him and say, "Hey, I know you've been having an affair. Don't worry about it." Like the other thing I got was like for him in a relationship, it might be important for him to be romantic and show all these things, and for her, because it doesn't matter, he doesn't get that reaction out of her. Like, wow, like, you know, no, thank you so much. Like for her, it's just like,
oh, cool. Put him on the table.
Right. So maybe
Yeah,
that's what he's getting from this person.
I think this person is just a robot.
But we're also
You
not
don't believe in
justifying...
gut feelings and intuitions, and you're not romantic, and you're just a robot. Just say that.
We're not justifying cheating here, but in this case, it looks like this kind of, you know, way of giving free love might actually work out for them. But I really don't know what advice they're looking for or what to give them, other than like, I think you should tell him that you know.
It sounds like she just...
So that you can stop spending money and maybe like, hey, like, can you tell me what you guys are doing? Because I need some material for the spank bank.
So I think this person has just been a robot their whole life and finally found something that made them feel some emotions. So now she's like, oh, fuck me. What is this? What is this I feel?
I know, it's
like when
so weird.
Grinch's heart grew.
I don't know, Beth. I don't really
Can
have anything
things just
here.
continue as they are?
I think you know. Save yourself some money and talk to him and tell him as they are
She
isn't
doesn't
enough.
want to. She
But as
doesn't
they
want
are,
to.
but she says she's spending thousands. How sustainable is that?
If she has thousands to dump into this, probably sustainable.
I don't know. I think she knows, and it's something that she's fascinated by. I think it's worth telling him that she knows and that he doesn't need to run around
But that
half cocked.
gets rid of the excitement for her.
I can't even put myself in her shoes.
I know this is...
And I'm really good at that. I
love
can't
this
even
one.
do it.
Let's see what they say.
Yeah, please.
Dear my husband's affair. Great letter. I'm as intrigued by watching you watch your husband as you are by watching your husband.
I like watching you watch her husband.
This would make a great movie if it's not already fan fiction based. Maybe take it to a screenplay. Obviously, this kind of cheating is grounds for divorce. It's not incidental, it's systemic, and the amount of effort he has put into deceiving you is considerable. That said, through no fault of your own, you've found yourself in a situation in which your husband has a girlfriend and you don't mind. Broadly sketched and putting aside his ethical violations, this is how some polyamorous relationships look. Oh, Beth.
Yeah.
Genius. Whatever it is that makes some people tap out in the face of infidelity, you don't seem to have.
Yes.
Or any feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't mind, things can actually continue the way they are. Ideally, I think you'd have to have a conversation with him. I know, and I'm fine with it. It's not on you to bring honesty to the table after being lied to, but if you did, it might make things even more harmonious and may prompt your husband to give radical honesty a try. But look, his dishonesty is disconcerting. It could be merely utilitarian, something he thinks that he needs to do to live his life the way he wants, but it's not great that he feels so comfortable conducting a charade for the person he theoretically loves most in the world. If he lies to you about this, what makes you so sure he won't lie to you about other things? How are you finding it within yourself to trust him? You wonder whether he's putting on an act given the differences in his behavior you've observed surreptitiously. And the truth is that he is putting on an act for you by suggesting that he's faithful. Again, it can be that his lie is the facilitator of this very specific circumstance, but I think you really need clarity on that to understand what you're dealing with in terms of your relationship and its potential for viability. Should you feel bad about snooping? I don't think so. Snooping is not something I recommend, and it is its own ethical transgression. But I think if you snoop and find that someone is lying to you, you're just giving yourself access to the truth, which is something everyone deserves. Yeah.
So
I don't know half of the words that I just said, but yeah.
It's a good way to justify snooping if you're right, but what about snooping if you're wrong?
Well, they said it's not something I recommend.
Right. So, yeah, the one thing that, I took away from that was, this is the part of in a relationship that he feels he needs to give that he can't give with her. So maybe he's getting something out of this that he can't get at home, which...
Yeah, because she said he's way more romantic with the mistress than he is with
So that
his
falls in
robot.
line. And then the other part
Maybe
of it...
she's a blow-up doll.
With a battery pack.
Yeah.
And the
Artificial
other part,
intelligence. He's clearly rich if she's spending thousands.
I don't know if he would be able to see where his money's going if it was his.
No, not if he's spending thousands on his mistress.
True story. But this brought up a couple of questions for me that I wanted to actually say before you read the response was, does his mistress know that he's married? And is she going to be able to trust him knowing that he's lying about this?
I'm going to guess that yes, the mistress knows, because she said the mistress's social media, she doesn't post him. But she will post.
See, you pick up on that shit.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I haven't hired a PI, but God damn it, I don't need one.
You don't need one. You don't need one. That one was Biff. That was a good one. It was hard.
Such a good one.
Can we just move on from this? Can we?
No,
this
I'm
continue?
invested. I need to know who this is.
She
I need to
needs
follow
to.
these social medias.
No shit.
Okay. Next,
if you're listening, can you please send Biff?
Oh my God. Please. Send us your Instagram.
Tell us everything.
We'll follow the accounts from our ill-advised account.
And we'll report back.
For
once
free.
we get an intern.
We don't even need thousands. I mean, we'll take it. Next we have, I slept with a guy for the first time. I have a dark suspicion about what he did when I wasn't looking.
This can go so many ways.
This is from January 4th, 2022. Dear, how to do it. I'm a 33-year-old woman just getting back into the dating scene after a decade of being married. I met a guy on Tinder and we hit it off immediately. We both agreed that we weren't looking for commitment or monogamy, but that we'd enjoy something ongoing and with a level of companionship beyond typical friends with benefits. We ended up texting all day, every day for several days before meeting up at a bar near his house. Having skirted sexy chatting during the week, we both knew what was likely to happen and had talked about protection earlier. I mentioned that I was on birth control, but that I prefer he still use a condom. He was okay with that, and on the day of our date, he even texted asking if I had a brand preference. The date went great. Unsurprisingly, we ended up back at his place, both a little tipsy. As we were fooling around, he grabbed the box of condoms, lamenting that he hadn't thought to open the shrink wrap before the heat of the moment, and proceeded to open one. At that point, I wasn't paying much attention to the process and just figured he'd put it on. He made a comment that it had been a long time since he'd worn condoms, but he'd also said that it had been a long time since he'd had a partner, so I didn't think much of it. Later, we changed positions, and then he laid on his back. I realized he wasn't wearing a condom. It was in the blankets, and I laughed that it had managed to come off, and he didn't correct my assumption. At that point, and yes, I know this is irresponsible and not advisable, but I shrugged it off and told him it was fine and that I didn't feel like stopping to put on a new one. neither of us had any recent sexual activity. And to be honest, we had such a great connection, and I had kind of already been considering offering to not use condoms together as long as we used them with any other partners. So in the moment, I just kind of thought, well, I wanted us to be able to be spontaneous in the future anyway, so screw it. This morning, though, it occurred to me that when I saw the condom in the bed, it actually did not look like it had been unrolled and just came off. It kind of looked like it had just been taken out of the wrapper and tossed aside. This really, really bothers me. I really like this guy a lot. We're already planning on seeing each other again. Communication has been great and he seems to adore me, but I'm really off put by the lingering thought that he never put a condom on, but wanted me to think that he had. I feel weird bringing it up because I eventually did consent to condom-free sex, the same romp, but it's very different if he knew I wanted to use condoms and just pretended to wear one. But I don't even know if that's what happened. He ended up passed out at the end of the night, so I think he may have gotten a little more drunk at the bar than he wanted to admit, and we did have wine back at his place also. I don't want to ruin a good thing by fighting over it, as we did end up deciding not to use one in the long run, but I just feel like this might be a red flag I'm ignoring in the flesh of a new romance. Literally everything else about this guy seems like a great match for me otherwise. What would you do here? Signed, Unwrapped.
There are a couple of things that I've made a couple of decisions for this person already.
Okay, go.
Consent is consent when you consent. Not when they think you might consent, not when you change your mind. Consent
Not when you consent later.
Right. Consent is consent when you consent. Mm-hmm. So this man effectively raped you. It doesn't matter.
She consented to the sex, though.
She consented to the sex. However, if a man takes off a condom mid-sex without you knowing, in the eyes of the court system, it is rape.
Really?
Yes.
Holy schmoly.
So he effectively raped her until she turned around and said, meh, it's fine. So I'm actually a little bit angry about this. I can feel my blood boiling.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely horrifying. I just didn't realize that was...
Yeah, because he took her decision away from her.
Right.
So they would file this under that category because it involves sex. So
Good to know.
There's the part of it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's that kind of part of it where it's like, you know, we've got some sort of defined boundary. There is that other side of it now where she's saying like, well, at the end of it, I did consent to it, which is fine. You made the decision. It wasn't taken away from you. That's great. So it's up to you what you do with what happened before that.
Right.
You know, whether you decide that you want to take legal action, accuse him of rape, or you're okay with it because, you know, you're okay right now.
Right.
You didn't, you know, catch any,
right.
You know, you didn't contract any viruses or any diseases or infections rather. And you didn't wind up pregnant against your will. And, but the other part of that is you went into it saying you were not like looking for anything. You agreed you weren't looking for anything serious. But by the way that question ends, it sounds like it's going somewhere serious. And you want to know whether or not you should ignore some red flags.
Yeah.
You're a red flag.
That's harsh.
It's harsh, but you're also kind of a red flag because you didn't want anything serious. And then like...
Oh, you can't hold her emotions against her.
No. And I'm not. But I'm saying like, you need to know too, like inward what you want, because that's going to affect how this next conversation goes. That's going to determine how you address this. Yeah, but that doesn't
make her a red flag. That's kind of how it works. You start out friends with benefits, and then typically one person starts catching feelings.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think not necessarily a red flag, but a warning. Like you need to know what you want too before you even... Well,
she did.
So maybe
they agreed to just casual, whatever.
But it sounds like she's catching feelings. So red flag was the wrong word or the wrong term to use. You right now need to know what you want before going forward, because it sounds like you want something. It sounds like you're going in the direction of wanting something a little bit more serious than casual, just by the way it ended.
Well, I don't think I think she's good with where they're at, because she even mentioned that like they discussed using a condom together, whatever, and then she would also like maybe we won't use a condom together, but we will use protection with other people.
Right.
So that's not.
It sounds like that. I'm just talking about toward the end. It sounds like she's got a little bit more of an affinity for him. She's got more than just.
She doesn't want to ruin a good thing because everything else about this guy seems like a great match for me.
Yeah. And when you're talking about somebody being a great match for you, you're not talking about him just being a casual hookup all the time.
Well, she did kind of clarify that it was a little bit more than just the typical friends with benefits.
Yeah. I think that maybe it's a little cliche in terms of like what they portray.
But I also don't feel like that's kind of relevant to.
I feel it is because that's going to inform how she approaches the next thing with him, how she talks to him about it. I think that matters, because you're going to have to address within yourself.
Well, we're just assuming here that, you know what I mean? You don't really have grounds to make that judgment.
What podcast are you on?
Well, I know, but you're kind of leading away from the topic.
I think it matters. I think that if this is something if you want something serious with this person, then this is a conversation that you actually need to have rather than something that you should toy around with.
In reference to using a condom?
In reference to using a condom, what you want, who your partners are. You know what I mean? Like your sex life is relevant to your life collectively as a couple, if that's where it's going. And it sounds like that's what she wants. He might not want that. And she might like.
Well,
my mind's going everywhere with this.
I want to argue that, like, if that was the case, she would say that. Like, I thought I was cool with us just being in the situation that we agreed to, but I'm starting to have a little bit of more feelings. I don't think that's,
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of separate because maybe it's because you're reading it. I don't know. But I really got that feeling at the end, like she wants something more than that. And I think that's why she's asking. What would you do? It's just the feeling that I got, and I can't ignore it. I just can't ignore that. That's what I perceived. I feel like she came at it with this question because I feel like if she didn't give a fuck about him, she'd be like, dude, put a fucking condom on or like take a walk.
Well, that would be more of a strictly friends with benefits. And she clarified that it's somewhere in between. Like, we're not just the typical friends with benefits hookup and all right, I'll see you next week.
I got that. I just can't help it. I can't separate that. There's something in my head that feels like this is more than just that. She wants more. That's just from the way it was written. And maybe it's the way that you read it. Maybe it's you reading it and I'm like hearing you read it. And not necessarily I'm hearing you say that to me, but just the way that you read it.
Right.
I just can't help it.
Well, then, so what is your advice?
If it's not the case that she doesn't want anything to really do with him other than something casual and friends with benefits and stuff like that, open your fucking mouth because he needs to know that he, in the eyes of the law, raped you.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something a little bit more serious and that's why you're trying to justify it away, then it bears a different type of conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that if you're looking for something a little bit more serious with this person and you're not looking necessarily to, just kind of like, if you're not saying anything because you're afraid of what might happen to your friends with benefits shit, then you need to reprioritize. But I think I'll leave it there because like I said, this can go, even when you just read the title, I was like, my mind's already going in every fucking direction. Yeah. And I meant it.
I'm a little bit torn here because for me it was like instant, now I don't trust you.
Oh yeah.
But then it was
I didn't even get into that.
But then it was like they both were hammered. Like, I'm not in any way, shape, or form. I don't agree with what he did at all. In no way, shape, or form. But I can understand it from having drunk nights where it's just like, you guys are drunk and you're in the heat of the moment and these types of things can happen. So for you being into this guy, and I can see how it's like less like, oh my fucking God, did you really just do that? You know what I mean? If you like somebody, it's harder to like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? So for me, it's really difficult because my initial response was like, fucking run away. don't ever trust this guy again. Go get tested for STDs.
Go get tested for titties. STIs, I think, is the new way.
Yeah, I
is the
couldn't
most
remember
recent.
what it was. But then the other part of me was like, Steph, you remember what it's like to really be into someone, and you guys are in the moment, and you guys were both drunk. Again, not to say that it's okay, but still I can see it feeling less of a big deal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really just kind of torn.
Yeah, it's hard. It seems like she's consenting all around.
Yeah, it was super interesting to learn that that is still considered rape.
Because there's consent
Which
to
I
sex
love that.
with a condom, and there's consent to sex without a condom.
And she specified to use a condom.
She has it in writing, apparently.
Yeah. No
So
shit in the
he
text.
kind of fucked himself.
And
But
her.
But it doesn't seem like she's going in that direction. Like she's, she doesn't seem upset about it. But that was one of the things I was just like, dude, you need to take a step back. And I think that's where I'm kind of playing into your trust part of it.
Yeah, it's tricky.
This one can go on forever.
For sure.
This one and the one before.
Oh my gosh. I know. I need to talk to
You need to. We need to have a forum with these people. If you've identified yourself as the writer to these letters, please send your questions.
Come on to our podcast
and all your stories. Let's get to the answer on this one, Beth.
All right. Dear Unwrapped, I think you absolutely need to bring this up and see what he has to say about what happened. It's possible it fell off. It's possible that he did merely pretend to wear the condom in the first place. It's possible that he won't be honest about what happened. You'll have to listen to your gut on this one. How he reacts to your broaching this subject will likely tell you a lot. You may be right that the choice you did make mid-sex to continue without a condom was not ideal. Frequently during sex, we're focused on the pleasure, and our critical thinking can fall by the wayside. Making serious decisions like dramatically increasing our risk should happen before or after that altered mental state. But you were clear with him about this boundary beforehand, and he made it clear he understood. If he admits he stealthed you, or if you strongly suspect he did after speaking to him, I think you already know that this man isn't a good partner, casual or not. In at least one state, that's now legally considered sexual battery. Wow. Yeah.
I also want to put in here, this is for you and me, this is kind of textbook, but if you need to ask, you already know. And I feel like this comes into it. Like, don't be like the first question you got, go ahead and kindly trust your instincts.
Oh, absolutely.
Trust your gut, yo.
Absolutely.
That was hard, Biff. That one got me riled up a little bit. I don't know if, you totally picked up on it, but it was hard.
It was, both these. I understood what you were saying, like that it can kind of sway your decision. Like if you want to be in a relationship with this man, you're less likely to see it as a red flag versus like if you're just kind of like.
It's actually a more articulate way of putting it. Because I'll admit, like I had so many mixed feelings about this that some of those feelings were overlapping. I didn't know how to effectively communicate what I was feeling or my initial thoughts on it. And I did get angry about it.
Well, yeah, when you read it, it's horrifying. But then when you stop to put yourself in her position, you really like this person. It's less horrifying in the moment because you like him. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And what we said and what the calmness said is not licensed for you, who has made it very clear your stance on this. It's not licensed for you to change your mind. And that is a big deal too. It's not licensed for you to say, I got raped, when you're very clearly okay with it.
Oh.
I know I confused you a little bit.
Yeah.
You didn't feel like it at the time. Well, is it? I don't know. Biff.
I know.
Take this away. I think I'm digging a hole for myself. I feel like you can't change your mind because he doesn't want a relationship, right? But as a woman with autonomy over your body.
So for me, if I found myself in this situation and I didn't obviously she's asking a question about it. It rubbed her in one way or the other.
Right.
If I wasn't aware that this considered sexual assault and I found out afterwards that it is, I think that's still grounds for, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you did fucking assault me.
Okay, I agree with you there. But in the off chance that she wants something more serious and he decides he wasn't, can she change her mind?
No.
You know what I mean? And who's to say that this is
what you mean.
why she's calling it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
But then that draws the same argument. Was she aware? I didn't know that that was considered sexual assault. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because all she has to say is, I didn't know that that was illegal. I didn't know that was...
Let's leave it to the legal system. We're clearly not lawyers.
Let's not leave anything to the fucking legal system, for fuck's sake.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Let's not leave the goddamn thing to the legal system.
Listener, we're not giving you shit on this one.
You know what? Figure it out. Go with your gut.
Go with your gut.
Your gut is never wrong.
I know.
Your brain is. Your heart is. Your gut never is. Ever.
Unlike the first person who decided
Her gut was still right.
Well, I guess. She just doesn't follow it.
Because she didn't.
She will now.
She's a robot. She's artificial intelligence. Next question.
Please? Please tell me this one's a little bit lighter.
All right. It might not be a little bit later, Biff.
I'm not taking this sip. Go ahead.
I saw what my husband's been watching online. I think he's hiding something from me. How do I even begin to deal with this?
Oh, you take a Xanax. Next.
Followed with a glass of wine. Some franc.
And some pickleback.
Definitely a pickleback. Everybody needs to keep a pickleback handy.
Yeah, how much pickleback would... I'm thinking... wrong tongue twister.
How much could a pickleback pack if a pickleback could pack?
Yep.
Yep.
Biff, you got a question there?
Dear, how to do it. My husband recently left the porn he watches up on his shared computer. I suspected because I walked in on him one day and he got flustered and then forgot to close in the incognito window afterwards. That is fine. I'm an adult and realize men, and I assume most women, though not me, watch porn. The issue I have is that it was bisexual porn and it was all homemade, at least one of which had a husband and wife, both very much getting involved with the guy orally. At times, I have suspected my husband is interested in something similar. He once, in dirty talk to me, said that he'd like to suck my dick while going down on me. I asked about this later. Was that a grunt?
It was a little
It sounded like
gasp.
Me too. That's what it sounded like.
Yum. Serve that up with a side of ranch.
A ranch?
I'm wrong.
A side of ranch.
Side of ranch.
I asked about this later, and he said he meant he imagined being me while sucking his dick. For some reason, this made sense at the time, but now I think my husband has desires he's either hiding from me or, in the worst case scenario, my anxious mind has gone to is satisfying without my knowledge. How do I even begin to deal with this? Signed, oral fixation. Biff?
Wow. You literally came for the jugular with this one. Story time. I've never told this story before in my entire life.
Here we go. Can I just reiterate the fact that 20 plus years of friendship with this man and 20 years later on a podcast decides to share some of his fucking secrets with me?
This isn't...
We're over.
Okay, it is a little bit of a secret. But this actually happened before you and I met.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, fine. You're right. It doesn't matter.
Thank you. Continue.
You're so right. I have mouthed verbally. I've said something very similar during sex with a female.
Stop it.
Yep. And it was something about instead of saying putting my balls in your mouth, I said put your balls in my mouth. But that was literally just a Freudian slip. I wasn't thinking about anything but the sex that was going on at that time.
Right.
And I literally I fumble through my words regularly.
In my mouth.
If you've never listened to this podcast,
fair.
there's 56 other episodes for you to listen to.
And countless others that you haven't heard.
Amen to that. Where my mouth can't keep up with my head, or my head can't keep up with my mouth doesn't brain. Right. That's excellent. And so, yes, this has happened. And
however,
this person used it against me later on.
You're a gay man.
I am a gay man, but I wasn't fantasizing about having sex with a man while I was having sex with a woman when I said this.
But we could argue that was still a deep desire of yours.
It could be argued, right.
If you were a straight man, it would be harder to argue. You know what I mean? He's not necessarily having...
Sure. But, I mean, I actually might disagree on that because of the stigma still surrounded with being a homosexual, and that straight man, note the quotes, the air quotes, and the quotes in my speech. Like, there is no black and white. You're not gay or straight. Like, you could literally... Like, the straight man might not actually be straight.
Right.
Quote unquote.
But I'm saying for a man who is.
Right.
Who knows he is.
They could,
for him to, like, slip up and say, I want to suck your dick is going to be a little bit more jarring.
Right.
Versus you turning in.
But not until that person comes out and says they're
absolutely
gay, right? So, and then that's where I'm getting at.
Well, yeah, I guess that's also where I was getting at. Because, like, which is it here?
Right. But this person hasn't come out yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to his wife, at least.
Not to his wife. So the other part of this that I'd like to cover is that sometimes porn is just porn. And I can attest, sometimes porn is just porn.
And sometimes it's not.
Because there is some porn that I've watched that's like, I would never do it myself.
But you like to watch it.
But it's kind of hot that somebody else has done it. And I necessarily wouldn't search it. It's just something that would come up. Or even sometimes straight porn. If it comes up in the lineup and it looks pretty. Not the girl.
Obvi.
But if homeboy looks pretty. Listen, nothing beats a pretty penis. I can't.
I think I'm going to agree with
if
that.
There's an ugly penis, I'm not touching it.
I agree.
I am not. I don't care how big or mediocre you are.
Hurtful, Biff.
Thank you.
Hurtful.
I don't care how big or mediocre.
Jesus Christ. I just need to text my dad now and tell him, don't listen to episode 57.
But it's got to be pretty.
I feel like a threesome with two men and one woman is a little bit specific.
I would be more inclined to fall in line with that if she had more than just the one instance.
Yeah,
because if someone just saw my porn history and said, "Oh, he watched straight porn," and decided to judge me based on that one instance they caught of straight porn, you know what I mean? I'd be like, "No, homos are us."
I agree. This part says, at times I have suspected that my husband is interested in something similar.
What are you going to do? Ask him?
So it was, well, I think, isn't that the question? How do I even begin to deal with this?
You can ask him. But don't expect the response that you want.
Answer, yeah.
I'm not saying don't expect
an honest answer. Or even if it is an honest
You're not going to get the response you want or that you're ready for. You're always going to feel skeptical about it. So is it worth asking?
I was just going to say, yeah. I was just going to say, is this something you're ready to ask? A.
Right.
And B, is it worth it? Yeah. What is it going to change? He's clearly not ready to bring up anything that he may or may not be feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to kind of open that box, it's going to create a lot of awkward space, I feel like.
Yeah. Or you can just...
Because now you're going to continue to be on the lookout for this. And when we all know, when you're looking, you find. And you're also, if this is something that he's not ready to come out about, now that's going to put him it's gonna put pressure on him, and it's just gonna change the dynamic all around.
Yep. I agree with you.
So
you can absolutely
But also-
talk to him about the porn. Let's not even ask about the bisexual or maybe even homosexual, feelings or like intuition behind it. You can ask him about the porn if you wanted to. And, you can even say like, I'll watch it with you. Or like, I'm down. And then if you're down to be in a threesome where...
Yeah, you get 2 men.
You get 2 men and you can have one
Holler,
for each
please.
hole. Like, sorry, Pops. If you're in that position, that's something that you wouldn't mind exploring, then that, bonus for the both of you, but I don't know. I don't know that it's worth bringing up in terms of sexuality, but bringing up the porn and being like, hey, like, I noticed this is what you were watching. Like, do you have some unexpressed desires? Because I might be open to them, but also don't condemn him for them. If you're not open to that, don't bring it up.
Well, that's a little bit unfair, I think.
Yeah. I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, I'm trying to...
And I guess this is me asking you for your guidance, I guess, because I know that if I caught Colin watching straight porn, I'd be like, good looks, bro.
That guy must have had a great...
He must have had
Peckerwood.
a great Peckerwood. But
Right.
I wouldn't question whether he's gay or straight because I know him and I know our relationship. You know, so...
Well, that's why I'm curious, because it said at times I have suspected my husband is interested in something similar. Like, what are these things?
Other than asking for dick sucking? Asking to suck her dick?
Blatantly, right. Can I suck your dick?
That one's
a kicker.
But sometimes there are slips like that. But I do have to say that if you're thinking about not saying something, sometimes you say it.
Yeah.
So if he was like, oh, don't fuck this up. Fucked it up.
Like,
Fucked it up.
Quit thinking about dick. Quit thinking about dick. Let me suck your dick.
Yeah.
I know. It's tricky. I'm also kind of stuck on, there's a person that we know that was in a relationship with a man who wasn't ready to come out as gay. But then he stepped outside of his relationship to, what's the word I want to use? Explore, yes. And that created issues, obviously.
And this is something that he had explored before that.
But was still trying to live a straight life.
A heteronormative life.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like...
Yeah, this is more than... like the thing that you're describing, the instance you're describing, and maybe even this question is more than just hetero, non-hetero. There's spirituality, there's religion, there's a lot that plays into it. We know that.
What?
People. It's not.
Oh, about coming out,
right? It's not particular
I was like,
in this
Biff,
question.
Come on.
I just mean. No, I just mean
she ain't worried about Jesus in bed while her husband's asking to suck her dick.
The only reason she'd be worried of Jesus is if he could see her heels. No.
I'm following.
Yeah, no,
now.
I'm just saying, like,
yes.
Coming out and coming to terms
Of
with your sexuality
course,
means coming to terms with your spirituality and your religion.
Everything,
and
all of
just
it.
It does affect parts of every part of your life. Down to your career.
Of course.
In this world, so there's a lot to take into consideration to that effect. But
can I ask, is there a difference? Like, what's bisexual porn? If I watch porn, there's a man and a woman. Is that bisexual porn?
No. Well, it depends on who you ask.
Bisexual porn, like
two
a
men and a woman, or two women and a man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biff, I don't know. That's kind of specific.
I don't know. Sometimes it's just
when
see...
straight men watch porn, there's a man in there.
So if he watches two women and a man,
right? But
that's not questionable. It's bisexual porn.
But
if he watches two
men and a woman,
well, did she say he searched it, or she just came across his history and saw that he had watched it?
It doesn't specify. However, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. You watch porn.
When you do.
I watch porn.
We don't watch porn.
How long does it take us to find the video?
Do you want to know what my tactic is?
Just fast forward to the end.
Open a new tab. Next. Right click, open a new tab.
Okay.
Right click, open a new tab.
How long does it take us to find the video?
There is no average. Sometimes I get so sick of looking that I'm like, I'm
over it. I could have been done 25 minutes ago.
Right. I literally could be done in like 10 minutes.
Whether he typed in.
Well, she'd be able to see that in his history, what he searched. That's why I'm asking.
Well, but yeah, and I get that.
Did he search bisexual porn or did he happen upon it?
She didn't specify.
And she
says he forgot to close the incognito window afterwards. So it's fine, blah, 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 blah. The issue
so it was incognito. She wouldn't even be able to see.
Bisexual porn and it was all homemade. At least one. Oh, so there's more than one. At least one of them, which involved a husband and wife, both very much getting involved with this guy orally.
Well,
so there's definitely multiple.
At least one. I would say, if I wrote this and I was trying to make a case for it, which is, it sounds like this might be what this person's doing, I'd be like, there were 3 of them that had bisexual people in them. The rest of them had a straight couple in them.
But there's still a man in them.
There's a man in all of them.
Exactly.
There's a man in straight porn.
But there's not always 2 men going together unless you're watching the Eiffel Tower.
At least one. I know you're playing devil's advocate, and I think I'm playing devil's advocate too, and being like at least one or 3 of them.
Right. Absolutely. This is the court of law. You're the defense.
Fuck the law.
Right?
I'm no fucking PD.
I'm saying she had suspicions outside of this.
Yeah.
Which is what I keep going back to.
Well, we don't trust our guts, remember?
No, I don't remember that. I remember reading a question from a robot.
Of it, and here's the thing. If he's not ready to be honest or come out, he's not going to.
No, but it's gonna eat her alive.
That's what I'm saying. Like, ask him about the porn, but don't ask him about his sexuality. He's not gonna tell you unless he's ready. No.
Well, what is going to be your answer? Hey, why are you watching 2 men suck dick?
My answer?
Yeah.
Why am I watching 2 men suck dick?
Right.
My answer when I watch 2 men suck dick is I purposely searched gay porn. 2 men suck dick.
That's my point.
If I'm talking about a man and a woman sucking someone's dick, I'd be like, right.
Yes. 2. Well, yeah, not 2 men.
Are you putting together what you said now?
Men, yeah. Yes.
I was trying to give you a hint. I don't know if you caught it.
I am now.
No, if I was called out on watching straight porn, I'd be like, that dude had a great dick. Because a vagina to this day, I don't know how I did it before, Biff.
They look
no
like
offense. Eating mayonnaise. That's the joke. I can't do it. To this day, it's not about the vagina, but sometimes like there's other types of porn that's just so sexy and things I wouldn't do. Types of porn I wouldn't watch because no offense to anyone who likes it. Oh, definitely not. No, there's way too many mud flaps in there. All
right, but do you see that kind of goes for the argument I was making?
That I wouldn't watch mud flaps.
That a straight person isn't gonna watch a man giving another man head, even if there's a girl in the video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know that that's true. Some people are just fluid.
I know for goddamn sure that my baby daddy isn't gonna watch some porn.
No, but I'm thinking
with
like
a man who gives oral to another man, even if it's a threesome.
I think I'm thinking on my side where it's like I can watch a straight porn and be turned on by that, but not necessarily subscribe to gay sex. You know? And that's I can only speak from my experience in being in those shoes. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes straight porn does it for me. So why wouldn't sometimes bisexual porn do it for a straight man? The only thing that's causing any doubt or any suspicion in my mind is that she's had her own doubts and her own suspicions on his sexuality. Mm-hmm. But asking him about his sexuality isn't going to make him come out faster.
Absolutely.
In fact, what it'll do is it's going to push him further in the closet.
Especially if he's not ready. Yeah.
Right. He may just be curious too and find out that he doesn't like it if he does explore. So what I'm saying is, if it's something you're open to and bring up the porn in that light where it's like, I saw you looking at bisexual porn and I was curious if that's what you were into because fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
But
because I too would like a threesome with 2 men.
Exactly. I would like to fill all holes, make it 3 men. You know what I mean? But like, if you're not necessarily like certain, you don't like.
Yeah. Yes. Let's
talk about the porn. Let's not talk about.
Let's figure out your feelings first. Are you okay porn. To bring this into your marriage?
Yeah.
Because now it's going to eat you alive. Especially if he says, no way.
It sounds like it's already there, right?
It's already
eating her alive. So maybe talk about...
it's at least definitely the beginning of eating her alive.
Well, let's not talk about
intentionally go search his...
sexuality. Let's talk about the porn.
I know. Just, I guess my confusion is, how do you separate them? I feel, for me, if somebody was like, why are you watching 2 men or 2 women rather, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're questioning my sexuality. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I don't think you come at it as why. You don't ask questions, you talk about it. You don't ask
right,
you don't ask about the porn preference.
That the underlying is your sexuality.
The underlying is the sexuality, but I think this is like the caveat to talking about it.
Porn but it's man-on-man action. I'm literally asking you, like, are you into men? There's zero other reason why I would be asking you.
Well, then you have to be okay with getting the response that you're not preparing yourself to get. You have to be ready, okay with.
Absolutely. My thing is you were saying to ask him about the porn, don't ask him about his sexuality. And for me, it's like that's one and the same. You
to me,
are
it's
asking
not,
about
because if you asked me about straight porn, I wouldn't be. But I'm more secure.
But that's still, again, referring to your sexuality.
Why would you watch straight porn? That dude's dick was fantastic. Why are you watching bisexual porn? I don't know. Something about that girl working with her husband did it for me. The only thing that's casting doubt.
But what's in question is the sexuality.
Sure. She can come up with that, but it's not coming out and saying, are you bisexual?
I know, but it is.
Talk about...
You can ask the same question 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000 different ways.
Yeah. But
and especially if you're a man in denial or if you're a man who's not ready to come out.
Let's take sexuality out of it altogether. If you get asked a question about something, you know what I mean, and it's asked indirectly, you're going to take the road that you think is going to be less offensive to the other person, or that's going to paint you in a less than negative light. You know, in any question whatsoever, you're not going to admit to something that might, in your own opinion, because if he is hiding from his sexuality, he's judging himself, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't sound like she's judging him. You know, she just wants to know. Right. It's a cure, you know. So if you're asked a question, you're going to respond in a way that you feel is going to be pleasing to the other person, you know, and you want to make them as comfortable as possible. So do you want to come out and say, hey, do you want to get railed by a dude while you're eating me out? Or do you want to say, hey, I saw you watching that porn of that dude getting railed while he was eating out a chick. Like, just want to make sure, you know, is there something you want to try out? Because I can relate that very recently, another story time, I went and tried to look at, and the story is totally different and I'm not going to get into details, but I went to see what kind of porn my boyfriend was watching, you know, and of course I've got caught and tortured myself for days because me, right? Right. That's like the
one time you go snooping.
Right. Literally.
You get caught instantly.
But that's just my MO, right? It only happens to me. So
absolutely,
because I'm so guilty anyway. Even if he suspected it and he had no proof and he asked me, I'd be like, I'm so sorry.
You beat yourself up just from having the thought, let alone actually doing it.
True. Where was I going?
You looked up porn.
Yeah, I mean, I looked up his and
out of curiosity,
and actually, I didn't get far enough before I got caught. I didn't get far enough to look it up or see what it was.
You got caught right off the rip.
Oh, literally. I don't think I would have gone off and questioned if is that what you want. Let's say that he had searched like.
We have to remember that she has a small suspicion.
She's speculated, or she's felt in some way that he has had this tendency to lean or curiosity thereof.
Right.
You know, and we need to remove that. How do we, how are we?
But we just were in support of gut intuition.
I'm not saying don't follow your response. Don't follow your intuition. I'm saying your intuition isn't enough to prove who he is.
But her intuition on top of bisexual porn
is still not enough to prove who he is.
I agree, but for her was what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that she's like 99% not going to get the answer she thinks she's going to get. But this is going to eat her alive. This is something that is going to constantly, especially after she saw the porn, now it's going to be like, what else is, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like,
she could always hire a private investigator.
Yeah, you need to go find.
But he might not be acting on it. And it doesn't seem like she has that instinct that he's been acting on it. Just the suspicion that he might have bisexual tendencies. But is that where it starts? I'm asking out of sheer curiosity.
I'm
very curious myself. Maybe that is where it starts. Maybe
it's like you start watching, you know, not completely gay porn, but now there's two men and
it depends on someone's level of fidelity. Maybe it does start there, or maybe that's his way of getting it out and still staying in a relationship.
And that's good enough for him.
Yeah. You're not going to get the answer that you want. Ask him about the porn. Hey, you left this open. What's up? Rather than,
so
hey, I've been suspecting you're actually gay this whole time.
Should I call Charlie tonight to come?
Right.
But like, why even bother bringing up the porn then? You know what I mean?
I think that might, and I'm only thinking about myself here because I'm a selfish man. I think that little bit of information might help you reconcile what you're really feeling, or might.
Him or her?
Not necessarily what she's feeling, but it might kind of like quench that thirst a little bit of trying to get some information. Might give you.
Or is it going to make it worse? Because what if he's a little bit fishy around his answer?
If she didn't expect that, it's on her.
Porn.
If she didn't expect that, that's on her. If she's feeling like he's hiding a part of him, she needs to expect an unconventional answer or an unconventional approach to an answer. I feel like we need to do that as human beings on all fronts.
I know, but what if that response is just what you need to keep you, oh my God, he couldn't even.
Then you need to follow your gut and leave this person.
Or
I know it's a lot.
Maybe not leave him if you're open to, you know, the situation that I was talking about. They were very open to hey, should we bring in another man?
Right. And that's what I said earlier. Unless you're open to it, I wouldn't bring up sexuality. If you're open to something like this,
I guess my question was more like, because I do agree with you, but just for argument's sake, what is even bringing up the porn going to do?
It's literally just for that person. If they want to bring something up, this is what you should bring up. Don't bring up their sexuality.
Right. Don't flat out ask like, hey, are you into men?
Right. More like, hey, you watch this porn. Is this something that you're like fantasizing about? Or is this something that you just came across?
Brought it up in a joking manner. Like, babe, should I call Steve tonight for the bedroom?
It's almost an intimidation tactic. You know, like it's like calling someone chicken and just being like, if I say yes, she's going to judge me. If I say yes, she's going to call my bluff and he's going to show up and then I'm going to have to perform.
I feel like it's less panic. It creates less room for like, oh my fucking God, what do I even say? What do I do?
It also creates room for a lie. That's funny. No, I just came across it. Rather than, that's what I was thinking about when I was watching this.
Funny you said him, because when I asked to suck your dick.
It's, you know, I wish
think it just all can go always.
Sometimes, you know, I'm not personally myself a big fan of the concept of an open relationship or open marriages or even relationships that are so monogamous. I mean, I'm sorry, that are so polyamorous, but that's just my preference. But I also wish that sexuality and sex wasn't so black and white, where we didn't have to explain ourselves for any of this. You know, the societal labels of straight, gay, bi. If we didn't have that, he would have been upfront about his bisexuality or maybe even his homosexuality.
And or wouldn't even have had to have been, because he would have been living his truth.
Or maybe he literally just came across this and she feels that way because she wants to be with another man.
So fucking hot that he didn't care if there was two men in it.
Right. And maybe she's always felt this way because she's always wanted another man in her bedroom along with her man.
Well, so I've mentioned before that I grew up very like traditional and old school, and men are men and women are women, and some please guys don't hang me, some of these values,
because she's real hung,
I've carried over, and I to this day I still, it's not about agree or disagree, but they just are things that I haven't rid of, values and beliefs, and you know what I mean. I still have bits of tradition and that type of thing.
Yeah, and I would argue that what you're calling tradition might actually, in your case, be preference. You're not necessarily beholden to.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily beholden to this and being like what should be projected to the world, but this is what works for you.
Yeah.
And how you feel about how our relationship should work.
You're always my best wingman.
That's right.
For saving saving my life. You may not be a good
and I won't give you CPR though because you have a vagina.
Not that lip. So anyways, what I'm saying is that, like, long story short, if I ever caught my baby dad watching a porn that had two men, even if there was still another woman in it, I would be like, what are you watching? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, immediately. It wouldn't be like, oh my God, do I ask him about this? Do I not? I immediately would be like, what the fuck are you watching right now? Mm-hmm. And do you like men? Mm-hmm. Right? Perfectly fine if you do. But like, what the fuck? It would throw me for a loop. Mm-hmm. So, I think I would expect him to say something along the lines of like, dude, did you see this girl though? Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't, like, I didn't even hardly notice that there was two men in here. Right? Like, I don't think this could be something that I could just kind of, should I ask this or should I not? Like, first of all, if I'm having suspicions that, like, maybe he is curious or interested or whatever it is, perfectly fine. I love you and support you, but that doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. I don't think that
and that's okay. That's fucking okay.
Thank you.
It doesn't
sometimes
all have to work for you.
Sometimes that's scary to admit.
It especially in woke culture.
Right.
You know, but that's okay. If it doesn't work for you, you're being true to yourself. That is fucking okay.
Thank you.
That's it.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to, like, get the point that, like, I would be shocked to see something like this on you know, my baby dad or whoever, my boyfriend's computer.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be something that was like, oh, well.
Would you be okay with your partner having watched porn? Because there are people in this world, my mother, that don't like that a guy even touches himself.
So I don't like it, but I do my best to not react to it.
There are a lot of things I don't like that I'm just like, all right, I know it's a me thing.
Like, I dated somebody who I rolled over one time at like 3-4 in the morning and he was watching porn going to town. And I was like, first of all, I'm laying right next to you.
Shit you don't know about till the podcast. We'll talk later.
Well, I'm like, I roll over and I'm like, first of all, I'm butt ass naked next to you in bed. Yep. Why just roll over this way?
Sorry, pups.
You know what I mean? Like, so that type of thing makes me feel like shit. Right. Like, you literally have a
hole. 3
for you to use. Instead, you search a porn video and do it yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the stuff that's like, I think for a lot of women that aren't okay with porn, it's like an insecurity thing.
Well, can I ask
why
you,
am I not good enough?
Did you consider it once at all in any time that he didn't want to wake you up?
I just can't get past that.
You wouldn't consider that?
I don't know.
For you, you'd be like, I'm not going to wake him up. I guess I'm just going to roll over and go to bed. But he took action. Does it really matter?
I know. I don't see. So I'm not against men watching porn. I don't think it's not like a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
If I caught my boyfriend watching porn, I wouldn't be like, we're fucking done. You're a cheater. Like,
what if
but
you went through your history?
It does make me, I watch it, but it's rare. It's not like every time
it's not your like sustenance.
Every time I handle business, it's not like I need to watch a porn or I put a porn on. There's definitely been occasions that I put it on, but it's not a big part of my life. For men, I understand it's way more normal and way more often than I'm assuming women. I don't really know those facts. But for me, it's like, I know that you're doing it, but I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't want to grab your phone one day and your browser's open and it's like, tongue lashings and all these things, right? Like it's like one of those unspoken things. Like, yeah, I know it's there, but I don't really want to know about it. I don't want to, if I walk in and catch you, like, it's not the end of the world. For me, it just is a little bit like, why couldn't you just come over and grab me by my hair and bend me over or something? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the part that I'm like, I don't get it. That'll always baffle me. Why would you rather watch porn than come bend me over?
I did the whole searching to see, like, what can I do to make things a little bit more exciting? And, that's not even the gist of it, but there is a little bit of context on there. But like, yeah, I get curious too. Like, what am I not doing? However, I also know, like, I have my things that get me off that I don't necessarily won't go out and look for or ask my partner for. So to me, like, watching porn is just like living out fantasies that you won't necessarily live out yourself, or maybe it's just hot. Maybe it's just sexy and it's not something you'd want to do yourself, but maybe it's just,
I get that it's hot, like, right? Like that's why it's made. But I'm
watching two girls get manhandled. I mean, watching one girl get manhandled by two men might actually be hot to a dude.
That is hot.
Watching her in between, like, getting sandwiched and getting one on each end, like, at the same time.
Yeah, straight guys love that shit.
You know what I mean?
Straight guys just don't watch husband and wife sucking dick together.
Well, that's just as we both know, that's
but what
just
I was
foreplay.
saying is that I don't understand, why would you rather pick up your cell phone and go beat your dick to a video than you have a whole vagina right next to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, maybe he was being considerate.
I just will never accept that answer.
Yes. And this is why men have a bad rap with women, is because women...
Right, he was actually being considerate. And you're like, no, the fuck you weren't.
When women think you're out to get them, you're actually being courteous.
Right, yes. Welcome to...
There's a response to this question, right?
Oh, right. Should I read that?
This was good discussion. I just want to put that out there.
All of these questions I really liked. Dear oral fixation, your husband might have desires in the dick sucking direction.
Sorry, I did not expect that.
I didn't either. He might be getting some kind of awesome empathy kick out of imagining being you while you're sucking his dick. He also might like to watch bisexual porn of a certain kind, but not want to enact it. Like our next letter writer, he might have simply gone down a particular rabbit hole that night. If your husband does watch this bisexual porn where the husband and wife tag team the man, and if he does want to suck a dick, it would seem that his desire is to do so together with you, his wife. Take some time to think through your interest level here. Is there anything about what you suspect about your husband's sexuality that turns you on? Would it be hot to watch him be excited and explorative even if it isn't directly your thing? What are your boundaries around this? Essentially, Biff, prepare yourself to be able to have a conversation about how his fantasies might be enacted. Or tell him that you're not okay with sexual interactions outside of your couple. Anxiety when you aren't sure how honest your partner is being with you is natural. Has he given you reason to mistrust him? Do you think he can extend some trust here? If you have reason to be suspicious of his commitment to you, that's a different issue to solve, and one that will need work before there's any opening up of your relationship. Once you know what you are and aren't interested in, broach the subject. He's your husband, so hopefully you've got some idea of how to best phrase things. If you're into the idea, you might say, can we talk about what I saw on the computer? Because I think it's kind of hot. If you aren't, you might say, can we talk about what's on the computer? Because it worries me. As with all such conversations, choose your time wisely. Make sure everyone's biological needs are taken care of. The room is comfortable, no one is hungry, there's water on hand, and that you have time to really talk without being interrupted. Be prepared to listen and to consider all that may be opened up about. Good luck. Good job, Biff.
Yeah, I don't hate any of that. I don't hate any of that. And maybe because, the shoe's been on at least one of these feet.
I mean, you do have 3 legs. So pick one.
I am a tripod.
Pick a foot.
I am a tripod. Oh, Biff, those were really good questions.
I know. I feel like I never get the good.
These really, all
they
3
always,
of
like,
them
sound
made us
good.
think. They made us think
I really
so hard.
liked these ones too.
And it was like some like really good intellectual conversation behind it. And
some learning points
for both of us.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just great. I think they saw us coming. No pun intended.
Hopefully. Hopefully not then.
Oh my goodness. So that was the Slate, right?
Yes. How to do it.
How to do it. So I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
We don't have any more questions for this week, but I want to take a second to thank our listeners, because over the last few weeks, month, whatever it is, Ill Advised has gotten such a huge uptick in attention.
I know, you guys are so great.
They're so great. It actually makes me a little emotional. So I just want to say thank you for listening, for following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
for your
everything.
Interactions.
And just, we did this because we were trying to reconcile our own mental health, and we wanted to spend more time together. We did this
because for our whole entire 20-year friendship, everybody said, oh my God, you guys need like a telephone station.
We need a telephone station. Bell Atlantic, Pacific Bell.
We are old, Biff.
We are old. Or maybe a TV show, Biff. What do you think?
Yeah.
Next door to the telephone station. It's true, but like the most of it was just like we had these conversations anyway, and it was and it's not necessarily like advice column-esque, but we've always had these conversations on
over a glass of wine on
psyche and just interpretation,
super
all of it. So
interesting, deep, real conversations.
Yeah. So thank you so much for continuing to support us.
I know, you guys are so great.
You have no idea how much that means to us, and we really didn't expect this.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So,
not at all.
So thank you, and as always, you can send us your questions, your comments, and all your concerns. And hey, maybe we'll put some of those on the air, illadvisedthepodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us your inquiries online. Otherwise,
on social media.
Yeah, that's it. You see me pointing at you.
Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at illadvisedthepodcast.
And you can visit us at illadvisedthepodcast.com. You guys are wonderful. Everything you do is fantastic. Ain't no man gonna tell you what to do. And thank you so much for listening.
You've been ill-advised.